Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Welcome everybody. Hello, Corwin. I'm doing pretty good. A little bit irritated, but that's to be expected. Hey, Shelly, welcome to the stream. So I was looking into this program called Restream that was going to aggregate all of our comments, and it doesn't seem to be working yet. So I have to do a little bit more research and try and figure out what is going wrong between the the OBS streaming and the whole dealio. So I will attempt to do that within the next few streams because I don't know how long it's going to take me, and I've got a lot to do tomorrow. So I guess Mondays are meant to be irritating. Probably. Let me put my headphones on just so that I can hear myself talk. I've already got the fan on, so I can't really hear myself as well. Okay. So, last time we streamed this Friday, and it was my birthday, and so we had a blast working together and hanging out, and man, I had a great birthday, streaming with you guys. And we finished up our railroad spike dagger. Now this still needs a little bit of cleanup, but unfortunately my finger is not quite as healed as I really want it to be before I start using the grinder again. So I'm gonna put this off for another week until this weekend, and hopefully we're able to finish these off, both this and the axe, in a timely fashion this weekend. My professor emailed me and instantly pissed me off today. Been 2 hours and I'm still irritated. Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. So today we are back with a brand new project. This project is inspired by and probably for the Instagram monthly challenge that I do every month. And we're in the middle of an ad break now, so for Twitch, so I think I'm going to pause for a moment, and I'm going to start back up talking about our new project once that ad is over. I figured out why I wasn't seeing all of my activity feed and my ad break. It's because OBS my docs weren't signed into Twitch for whatever reason. So yeah, that was fun. I figured that one out. We signed back in there. Everything's good. The only thing is I still cannot see chat very well on YouTube. So I will do my very best to kind of run up to the screen, take a look. SN Plunder Shop. S&S Plunder Shop. Let me move that over so I can see. Good afternoon to you as well over on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fun time watching today. I hope I have a fun time. I know I will have a fun time. So yeah. Let's see. Couple seconds left in the ad break over on Twitch, and then, like I said, I will get started talking a little bit about our new project for the day. All right, guys, we are back. So today's project is for my Instagram monthly blacksmithing challenge. So this week, or I guess this month, the month of September, the project is a door handle or knob, or latch, or the criteria for it is that it must be mounted to a piece of wood. It must be a latch of some type, and it must have movement on both sides of the wood piece, so both sides of the door. So we will be doing hopefully my take of that. So I already have all of the steel showering the floor. Because, nothing says Monday like Drop Forge. First thing, right? So this is a multi-part piece. So I have no idea how long this is going to take us. Sometimes it takes us a little bit longer for the multi-part ones. Drop forge the parts are prototypes. Yes, right? Okay, so if you guys are interested in the design for this door latch that I am going to try and recreate or do my best to recreate, there is a picture of it in the project suggestions tab of our Discord. And so there's a little picture of it. I found it on Pinterest. It's kind of small. You can't really see it too well. And it only has the latch side. It does not have the handle side. So I'm kind of going to be making that up as I go. So let's see. Let me explain the pieces and parts and what we're going to be making, and then we'll kind of get started a little bit. So the first piece, this is a big piece of 5/8 inch stock. It's about 8 inches long. So this is going to be the handle and the 1/2 of the hinge for the thumb latch thingy. I'm not entirely sure what the little thumb latch on a door handle is called. You know, you grab a hold of the door handle and then you press down and then you can open it. That's the part, right? The 1/2 of that is going to be this. This is the other half. This will be the thumb depressor thingy. This is going to be the actual latch. When you depress the thumb, this is going to push up. Yes, up. And we will be able to open and close the door when this presses up. These 3 here are going to be the guides. 2 of them will be attached to the door on both ends, and 1 will be attached to the door on only one end. That way, the latch can move upwards on its little hinge. We will also be creating all of our own rivets for this project, and we will be creating a strike plate for the handle so that we can kind of attach it to the door relatively easily. The other side, with the actual latch and the little guides, we're not going to put a strike plate on that side. That way we can kind of move them around and make sure that they open and close the door correctly, if that makes sense. So I have never built one of these. This is kind of like me fumbling around trying to learn how to do this. And so, yeah, we might make a lot of mistakes. We might make a few. It might be really smooth sailing. So I have no idea how long this is going to take. But we have till the end of September. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get it done. Thingy is right. You can make the text larger on YouTube by using the mouse wheel. Can I? Except for that I don't have a mouse wheel, unfortunately. I don't have a mouse on my laptop. I'll have to go and grab one of the crappy little mice that we have inside the house one day, and then I can use the scroll wheel on that. Fingers crossed. What was that? It was a leaf. A leaf fell from the ceiling of my carport in front of the open garage door. Okay, that's what that was. Let me check my frames per second and my bit rate right now. We're starting to be a little bit wobbly, but you guys should still be able to hear me. Hopefully that evens out relatively quickly. Apologies. Sometimes I have a little bit of wavering with my internet connection. Hopefully we'll get that straightened out relatively quickly. It's usually very temporary. All right. So, hey Blue Red, welcome to the stream. I'm gonna kind of have to figure out which piece of this handle I want to start with. We could start with the easy pieces, or we could start with the more challenging pieces. And I'm kind of inclined to do something a little bit more challenging. So my first inclination is probably to do the handle, right? because it's not even on the guide or like the picture of the handle or of the latch that I have. So I'm going to kind of figure out what I want this to look like first, I think. All right, so these I'm going to put over here. So they're at hand and we can use them when we need them, but they're out of the way, if that makes sense. Let me... Raynex Forging, new internet. I know, right? I'm so sorry, guys. I know, we're being all kinds of crazy right now. Click on the chat window and then control something. See if I refresh my YouTube studio, I can actually see things a little bit easier. Unfortunately, I cannot. Ugh, I'm so sorry, guys. Why is it being dumb? I will have to, I don't know, let's see. How is my, let me do a speed check real fast. And I'm not even getting that website fast enough to actually do anything. Goodness gracious. Is this for a door or a garden gate, or is it interchangeable? Right now, it's actually probably for a piece of wood. But I think a garden gate would be better or best for this particular piece. Or like an interior door, right? An interior door would work relatively well with it, but there's no way to lock this door. I don't have like a key or anything like that, so we're probably going to do something a little bit more, you know, easy enterable. It's just, you know, to close and latch it, but not to lock it, if that makes sense. We're getting pretty low internet speeds right now. Not cool. I think we're starting to stabilize. Maybe we're starting to stabilize. Click on the chat window and then Control++. Ooh, thank you so much for that. I can actually read YouTube chat now. Okay. Let's see if I can manage this all. It looks like we're stabilizing quite a bit. Let me refresh YouTube real fast. And then we'll get started. Apologies for the slow start today and the weird internet. All right, so I was originally going to do smaller stock, so I'm going to change tongs to something a little bit better. These guys. All right. I assume I could be wrong that since you said this is new to you, that you've not done chest latches. I have not, actually. I have not done any chest latches. I would love to eventually. But you know, like I said, the Instagram Blacksmith Monthly Challenge is kind of what brought this on. So yeah. Don't you just love being the tech officer into your enterprise? I know, right? All right. So like I said, I think we're starting to stabilize again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up the forge. We're going to heat up our steel and hopefully it's smooth sailing from here. All right, let's do this. We're going to be using the mailbox, at least for now. We might change that up a little bit later, especially when we have to start curving and bending this handle. But for the moment, I think we're going to be fine because we're going to be doing a little bit of tapering and a little bit of like, I'm thinking that the attachments to the strike plate are going to be very leaf-like. So we're going to see how this goes. So the top, what we're going to do is we're going to chunk out a section at the top of our handle and at the bottom of our handle. The one at the bottom is where we're going to rivet it to the strike plate, and the one at the top we're going to turn into a T shape and splay that out as far as we possibly can so we can fold it up little dog ears. And that's where we're going to create the knuckles for our hinge, for the thumb depressor thingy. So that is the plan. In between, we're going to do a little bit of tapering to kind of give ourselves a little bit more of an ergonomic shape to that handle. Dang, because I kind of need one. Well, if this one works out for us, I will try and do some research on a chest latch, and I'll see what I can do. There's a couple different styles of chest latches out there, and I'll have to figure out, you know, how they function. All right, I don't need this one right now, I don't think. So Friday was my birthday, and so I didn't do much celebration on Friday itself, aside from, you know, hang out with you guys. So most of what I actually did for my birthday ended up happening over the weekend. So on Saturday morning, the butler woke up early and went out and got me Krispy Kreme donuts. And not just any Krispy Kreme donuts. The butler got me the Pokemon Krispy Kreme donuts. I was super excited about that. And then some of those fancy long hinges for a chest. I mean, we could do hinges. I've actually made knuckled hinges before. Normally the ones that I do are 4 knuckles, right? So they open and close like so. You could do 3 knuckles, you could do 4. I've done both, like barrel hinges. So yeah. I got one from a store, but it just doesn't match. It's an old cedar chest. Okay, that makes sense. Like I said, I'll have to take a look and see what I can do. Happy late birthday. Well, thank you. So yeah, I got Pokemon donuts. I was really excited about them. I think my favorite was the Bulbasaur donut, because that was a vanilla frosting that was dyed green. And so that just tasted like a frosted Krispy Kreme donut, right? I also really, really liked the strawberry donuts. Welcome in, Raiders. Hey, Yankee, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Hi, I'm Ray. I am a blacksmith. We are here streaming today. We are creating a door latch. So it is a 6-piece latch that will allow me to open and close like a gate or a door or something like that. So the first piece that we are making is the handle, right? So I want to do a handle with a thumb depressing, with like a thumb depressor that like pushes up a latch so that we can open and close the door. So in the forge, I have the handle. It's also going to be attached to the 2 knuckles of the hinge for the thumb depressor. I have the rest of our pieces right here. So this piece is going to be the latch. This is going to be the thumb depressor. So when you depress when you open your door, you hold the handle and you have the little thumb thing. So when you press down, that's going to push up the latch, and that's how you're going to be able to open and close this latch. And then we have 3 guides. So 2 of these guides are going to be attached to the door at the top and the bottom to make sure that the latch itself stays on its track and in place so that it opens and closes properly. And the 3rd guide is going to be the other end of the latch, right? So when we open the latch, it's got to clear this guide. Ooh, blacksmithing. I love making things. Awesome. Blacksmithing ain't no joke. Well, I hope it's interesting for you guys. This is my first time doing a latch system, so I'm kind of going to be fumbling through it a little bit. On the channel page, there is a Discord link to my Discord, and if you're interested in seeing the design that I'm trying to emulate, I've posted a picture on that Discord in the project suggestions tabs. Or you can just watch and see what happens. I think I would love to try it, right? I love blacksmithing. It's one of my favorite things. I absolutely love just metal in general. So when I started working with metal, I started as a silversmith. So I started taking sheets of like copper and brass and some silver and shaping them into vessels like bowls and vases and things like that. And then, it's really expensive. So I decided that I wanted to start working in steel. And so I really learned fabrication and welding and things like that. And in the meantime, I was also learning about casting because, it's still metal, it's really fun. So I've just been expanding and growing my knowledge of blacksmithing ever since. So we are in the process of kind of teaching myself blacksmithing, I guess, and I'm sharing that journey with you guys. The last piece that we made, which was Friday, was this dagger. It was made out of a railroad spike. So I cut it in half, hot dog style, I guess, halfway this direction, halfway this direction. So then when you splay it out, it creates this lovely T. And so, we've got our nice blade and our hand guard with the top of the railroad spike. And then I did a twist for the handle. She got into smithing heavy steel because it's more satisfying when it drops on the floor. Oh, I don't know about that, Mahalo, but maybe. I mean, you guys watching, that's probably how you see it, From your perspective, I do drop things a lot. And part of that is because I never have the right size tongs for the project. A lot of times what a blacksmith will do is when they start working on a brand new project, they will start by making a set of tongs that's going to help them hold their piece of steel properly, tightly, so that it doesn't flip around or drop or fall or anything like that. Well, I don't want to subject all of you guys to watching me make tongs every other, week. So I make do with what I got. Sometimes we do make tongs depending, on how I'm feeling. But yeah, cannot say anything about people dropping stuff because she drops herself. Oh, that's not good. All right. So we got some really nice hot steel. So I think that's the first thing that we're going to do is start working. Okay. So I'm going to change the camera angle. And we are going to start working, guys. Fingers crossed I don't screw this up. What you guys think? Think I'm going to screw it up? I don't know. Maybe I will. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is isolate this nice section here. This is where we're going to create those knuckles for that hinge, I think. So let's straighten that out on the edges. And bring that down a little bit more. All right. Let's see. So, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to flip this guy around. And we're going to start kind of isolating a section here. But instead of creating a shelf like we've got over here, you know, we've kind of pushed this material back and created a little square. We are going to actually do the opposite, where the material that we're going to push on this end is the very tip, the very end of it. So we're doing two opposite sides. I love the shaping while it's hot. So crazy to see. Don't mess it up. 80% confident. Well, you know, I have some experience in blacksmithing, but like, you know, it's more like a year and a half to 2 years. So I could screw it up, but maybe not. But yeah, shaping steel is really crazy. It's like one of those things where you think about steel and how hard and cold and permanent and just unbendable it is. And then to see it get heated up and move all over the place to, you know, your own desires, that's something else, you know, that's something that not a lot of people get to experience. All right. So I think what we're going to do before I start squishing the other end is I think we're going to bring out the guillotine tool. Because I'm thinking that I want to taper the bottom of the handle. So let's grab out the guillotine tool. The bottom die, we'll stick that in there like so, and this is the top die. Exactly, it's crazy. I look at all the designs from medieval, Middle Ages and such, and I'm like, but how? Yeah, like this tool, it's called, there's two different names for it. It's called a blacksmith's helper or a guillotine tool. You know, it's kind of, basically what it is I put the steel inside of here and I hammer on top of it, and I can isolate material and kind of create a little bit of a divot in there. It's called, the blacksmithing term is called a fuller. So this is a fullering die. All right. So let's make sure that everything is nice and in line and good to go, so you guys get the best view possible. For this, poor Metal is like, what'd I do? Is that the guillotine you made? Yes, it is. This is the guillotine tool I made. I have not actually been able to purchase a guillotine tool. I wanted to purchase one from Christ-Centered Ironworks. They're 60 bucks. They're super convenient, super easy to put together, but I haven't gotten the chance to do that yet. I will eventually do it, but I gotta get, you know, a couple bucks to rub together. So did most blacksmiths make all their tools, you said? Yes. A lot of blacksmiths did make their own tools. I made a lot of my own tools. My hammer I did not make, but a fellow blacksmith made it for me. But yeah, most of my tools, I mean, I made this forge. You know, I made these tongs. I made the guillotine tool. I did buy the forge that we're currently using. I bought the anvil. So it's kind of like some you buy, some you make. I missed a thing real fast. Hang on, what happened to the iron smithy? Oh, yeah. It fell and I forgot all about it. Let me grab it out. Raw. The iron smithy. If I can get it to stay, that is. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. There it goes. Ooh, there's some like floor lint on it. No, you can't fall again. There we go. It should stay now. I did lose an eye. Alright, is that all the way down at the bottom? Yes, it is. Okay. I wants to go on an adventure. It does. It always wants. They all want to go on an adventure. There's nothing really backing that piece or like that wall, so it's kind of air behind there. So I can hammer into the piece of wood or like particle board or whatever. But there's nothing that holds them in very well. I'm trying to figure out a good solution, but eventually. All right. So we have an ad break coming in about 30 seconds on Twitch. So I will wait until the minute and a half so that everyone can see what's going on with the next heat. And then I'll continue. Don't forget to tip your blacksmith. I don't know. If you guys feel like tipping your blacksmith, there are links to KoFi down in the description and on the channel page for Twitch. I'm not asking, but you know, if when people mention it over on YouTube, you know. It's all fun and games till your smithy loses an eye. See, that's totally why I do the safety glasses. Alrighty. We are in the middle of an ad break over on Twitch. So yeah. I like to make sure that everybody gets to see all of the heat, so I tend to pause during ad breaks. And I don't have the ability to control any like ad settings over on YouTube yet. So if you guys are in the middle of an ad or something, please do shout that out so I know. Yeah. And once this ad is over, we will keep on keeping on. We'll see how many of these pieces I can get done in one stream. I don't know. It is important to keep hydrated as a blacksmith. You know, you've got the heat from the summer sun, and then you're also adding to it with the forge. So I got to make sure that I stay hydrated. All right, let's do our next heat. Like I said, we're going to use the guillotine tool to kind of isolate a piece of a little nub on the end of our steel. This is going to create a section that we are going to be able to rivet onto the strike plate. Is that enough steel? We're going to give ourselves a little bit of extra. All right, we're gonna grab some more heat, and then we're gonna do one more round of that. So far, we've got a pretty decent amount of isolation. We're gonna do just a little bit further though. The letters have had the drop training. Yes, they did. It's all. I heard part of what you said. My bad. What did you want us to shout out? I was talking over. I stream on both Twitch and YouTube. I have the ability to kind of see when ads are coming up over on Twitch, but I don't have the ability to see them over on YouTube. So I was asking my audience over there if if they see ads, to shout them out for me. Yep, I like to make sure that everybody gets to see all of the heats, all of the rounds of metal moving, because that's what you guys come for. I mean, I have a great personality, but you know, it's the metal, right? Thank you so much for following Kimberly's dad. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Also, to do 577, I missed that follow, so thank you so much for it. And welcome to the stream in the community. Welcome, welcome. All right, how are we doing? Pretty good. Let's do another heat. Oh, come on. There we go. Round out those corners just a hair. And I think that's pretty good. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to start working on is we're going to start flattening this out. This shape right here is going to be very similar to making a blacksmith's leaf. And I'll kind of give you guys a breakdown of how that's going to happen as we go. Have a good time in class, Shelly. Thank you so much for joining us. The guillotine is really efficient. It works nice. I know. I love it. I don't know what I ever did without it. Guys, I don't know what I ever did without it. Super efficient, super nice. Got those clean edges on everything. I'm super happy with it. So we have now isolated a little block of steel on the top and a little block of steel on the bottom of our door handle. The actual handle where you grab a hold to open that door. So the first end that we were working with, that we used the corner of the anvil to kind of isolate out, that is, like I said, we're going to draw that out into a T section. We want to make those wings go as far as we possibly can, so that way we can kind of create knuckles for the hinge on the thumb depressor thingy thing. And then at the bottom, that's going to be the section that we end up riveting to the strike plate at the bottom of the handle. So once we get those nice and worked out, the little blocks of steel, then we're going to start kind of drawing out the material, giving ourselves a little bit more shape. I'm going to change the angle on the camera real fast so you guys can kind of get a little bit of a better view, since we're not using the Hardy anymore. I try and do this quite often, move the camera so that there's a variety of shots. I do edits for our videos, for our projects, and I post them over on my YouTube channel. And the link is over on Twitch in the channel page if you're interested in seeing that. I keep them around 5 to 7 minutes for the whole project. I think that works out. It's a lot easier to sit through than, like, 10 streams that are 2.5 hours long. Which I do appreciate you guys watching, But if you want something a little bit shorter. All right. Good to go on that. So let's do our next heat. Oop. So I'm putting together a little bit of a nose. Oh, come on. A nose on the end of that square, that block, so that I can kind of create some like decorative section. So now we're going to open all of that up and create a nice rounded with a point, a little section that we're going to be able to rivet to our back plate. And clean off the anvil face. So as I work, the heat will actually create scale on the edges of the piece of steel. And as I hammer the steel, that scale falls off and creates really hot dust. And scale is hot rust. So the oxygen that is being used to heat up the flames is also oxidizing the outside edges of our steel. So it's kind of like a balance. You need the oxygen to increase the temperature of your steel, but it also does oxidize your steel. Corrodes it just a little. So that's why people tell you not to leave your steel in the forge too much, because you'll bake out the carbon. And that will happen, less so in a propane forge, more so in a coal forge. Not too hot today. But yeah, so it was my birthday on Friday. And like I think I started talking a little bit about what I did over the weekend to celebrate before the raid happened. So yeah, I got some Krispy Kreme donuts, the Pokemon ones. My favorite was the Bulbasaur, because it was vanilla frosting on top of a glazed donut. And I also really liked the Jigglypuff, because the Jigglypuff donut was strawberry icing, and I really like strawberry donuts. So that was a really good one. Pikachu was a lemon filled. Charizard was caramel and marshmallow, and I'm not a big marshmallow person, so I let the butler eat that one. There were 2 Pokeballs that were the same as the Bulbasaur flavor-wise, and then it came with 4 glazed donuts, so it was really, really yummy. Hey, Sandwich, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. So then later that afternoon, my parents came to visit, and it was really fun seeing them. They live about 5 hours away from me, and so I don't get to see them very often. And it was really awesome to see them. We fellowshipped. We had some lunch together. We watched some Star Trek. And it was pretty fun. And then Friday, I went to the bookstore. I was super excited to go to the bookstore. We looked at a bunch of books. I got one. I got the 3rd book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas to get ready for the new Sarah J. Maas books that are coming out this fall. I'm super excited about those. All right, let's do another heat. So you guys should tell me what you guys were up to this weekend. So I'm going a little bit on the slow side here. I want to widen this out. But really what I'm doing right now is giving myself a little bit of extra area so that I can hit it with the cross peen hammer, which I'm going to do right now. We're going to change hammers real fast. And that's going to help me widen this out faster. All right, let's grab some more heat. Okay, Ray, remember, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Yep. My Achilles heel are maple bars, or sometimes called maple long johns. There's a local donut shop that I've been going to for decades that have the best ones. Oh, I grew up with maple bars. I loved those, and then the chocolate frosted ones. It's like the same shape, but it's got chocolate instead of the maple frosting on it. I loved those when I was a kid. I ate so many of them, I got sick of them for a long time. I think I'm probably now to the point where I could probably eat them again, but it's not very easy to get the maple frosting around here. I do not like sweets. I'm weird. I do have to say that, like, I don't like sweets nearly as much as I used to when I was a kid, right? So, you know, if I'm looking at eating something sweet, it's like I only want one donut or one piece of cake, and sometimes I'll just scrape the frosting off the cake, or, you know, I have to be in the mood for it. Whereas when I was a kid, I would just eat sugar packets. Seriously. I feel like, you know, your taste buds get a little bit more refined when it comes to sweets when you get older, and maybe a little more broad and generalized with normal or with regular foods, right? I used to absolutely hate certain foods when I was a kid, and I eat them. I love them now. Like, I hated Chinese food. I love it now, you know? So, I don't know. All right. I love Brussels sprouts. I've never actually had Brussels sprouts. I hear they're really good if you uh, if you crisp them up, like grill them instead of like steaming them. So this hammer is called a cross-peen hammer, and because the face is a long, skinny face, it actually moves more material perpendicular to that face. So that's why it's starting to fatten out without getting any longer. And so when I'm hammering, I'm aiming for striking that center area, because I want, if we look at the profile from the top here, I want an hourglass. So I want it fatter on this side and skinnier in that middle. It's going to make it easier for me to draw it out longer as we go. I did not like onions when I was a kid, but now I like them on many things. As a kid, the Brussels sprouts made me puke, huh? They taste like onions. Okay. As a kid, you used to eat onions raw? I don't know if I could do that. I really was not a big, I like cooked onions if it's like cooked in something like, fajitas or like Chinese or, like meatloaf or something. As long as it's like cooked into something, I don't mind the onions, but I don't like them alone. If I can just taste just the onion, I can't do it. Brussels sprouts are an acquired taste, I would say. I know people who passionately hate them, and I do understand why, but I kind of like them. A bit like liver. Intense taste, but you have to like it. Makes sense. Makes sense. I used to work at this pizza restaurant called Emo's Pizza, and they have this cheese. It's called Provel. It is a combination of mozzarella, provolone, and I think it's like Monterey Jack cheese. And it's all melted into this weird conglomeration. It's a very, very bitter tasting. And especially when it's like really crispy, like you would use for pizza. And it's definitely an acquired taste. People who grew up on Emo's in the St. Louis area, they love it. But people from outside of the area, they can't stand it. And so it took me about a year to develop that taste, but I really like it now. Emo's is perfection, huh? Must be from the St. Louis area. Liver and onions. Liver like a heart and brains are the best pieces of meat. I don't know about that, Bluesy. Although I really can't say, because like I've not actually had them prepared very well. My mom will tell you that my grandma was kind of a bad cook when it came to like meats, except for her pot roast. Her pot roast was perfection. But she wasn't amazingly good at like steaks and livers and things like that. So I've never had liver and hearts and things like that were prepared by someone else. So I really can't say that I don't like them. I would be willing to try them again. However, in my brain, it doesn't sound appetizing. I once got sick when we had Brussels sprouts for dinner. Admittedly, I had a bad hangover, but they sent me over the edge. Oh, I can understand that one too. Got all of that roiling in your stomach and something with a really strong flavor. Guilty as charged, St. Louis area. Yeah, I used to work at one of the Emos franchises in the area, and we got free food if we worked, I think it was 7 hours, and I was almost full time, so I got to eat free Emos pizza and whatever else I wanted. A lot, a lot, a lot. Okay, I'm a weird one. I like spiders and such. I actually have had some like crickets and things like that. I don't like the legs, right? If you grind them up so that I don't feel the legs, they're not appetizing in my brain, but they're okay. I can eat them, right? But I don't like the legs. Beef heart is tasty. It's a different texture, but the flavor is good. I lived on T-Ravs for a summer. I did too, man. Before I liked Provel, that's what I would eat, is the T-Ravs. T-Ravs are toasted ravioli, so it's like raviolis, and then they get breaded in an egg and crumb wash, and then fried. And I know that those of you from Europe are probably like, that's sacrilege. You can't fry things like that, but they're awesome. I tell you, they're awesome. All right, let's do another heat. Okay, we're good on that. Crickets are great, but the legs stay in your throat if you don't grind them first. Yes, see, that's my thing, right? I don't like the legs. I have a major thing with textures. And the legs are just not a texture I enjoy. All right, that's nice and round. I like that. All right, so now we're getting to a point where I'm gonna wanna like really start shaping this. So we're gonna get some more heat, and then we're gonna figure out what we wanna do with that. What shape we want it to be. Germans, maybe. The Dutch have no issues with deep frying about everything. Americans do have a whole thing, a whole state fair around frying random foods. Ray has spoken, yes. T-Ravs are awesome. The weirdest thing I've ever eaten is balut, or balut. It's perfectly developed duck in the shell that has been boiled. Interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that. And unfortunately, it is tasty. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a big... I'm a texture. I have problems with texture. I do love fried stuff, though. Like, I used to work with Shelly at a grocery store, and we worked in the kitchen. And our specialty was deep fried chicken, and so occasionally we just start putting random things in the fryer, and that was incredible. Just random things. Fried Mars bars are tasty. Ooh, I haven't tried those. We tried fried Snickers and fried Reese's peanut butter cups. Those were good. Iowa State Fair has deep fried butter on a stick. Ugh. Ugh. I do not think that I could eat a stick of butter. They are nice as well. I'm sure some of you like those, but you know, not me. I think the weirdest thing that we tried was, what was it? Probably the Snickers. We didn't try anything too terribly weird. Girl, I have many stories from my booth at the Iowa State Fair. I can imagine. I used to go to the Illinois State Fair, and there was quite a bit there. I think Mars and Milky Way are switched between Europe and the US, so it would be a fried Milky Way, I guess. Here in the United States, a Milky Way is caramel and nougat with the chocolate, and then the Snickers bar adds peanuts to it. So it might be switched. I don't know. I'm the blacksmith that Corwin told you about. Oh, welcome. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Deep fried butter seems like a Homer Simpson invention. Oh, Milky Way has coconut? Is that in addition to the caramel and the nougat, or is it just coconut? Because we call that, what is that? That is a, almond joy, no. Mounds and almond joys, I think. Yes. Yeah, I've got chat that I'm reading both on YouTube and on Twitch. Oh, caramel is in there as well. That's interesting. I don't know about that. It would be interesting to try. We do have an ad starting in about 30 seconds. Once that ad over on Twitch is done, I will pull the steel again, and we're going to do another heat. I'm probably starting to jabber on a little bit, so I'll try to be a little bit more attentive to the steel. Oh yeah, that is Bounty. My bad. Oh, okay. Okay. It's called a Bounty bar with the caramel and the coconut. Okay. Milky Way is lighter, while foamy sweet stuff covered by chocolate. Yes. Had to check you out and see your skills before I extended an offer for you to join. Oh, I see. Well, hopefully I am good enough to join you guys next year at the Iowa State Fair. I try. I mean, I may not be, you know, a perfect blacksmith, but I try to be entertaining at the very least. All right, so we are in the ad break on Twitch. Once that minute and a half is over, we will take our next heat. I think I'm going to change the camera angle, though. That way we can kind of get a little bit of variety. Variety. But yeah, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Okay, everything's good. We're in focus and everything. All right, at some point I'm gonna need another bottle of water. There's one already made up in the fridge, so it'll take me a couple seconds, but after this next heat, I don't know, or two, I might have to go grab some. I really would like to have a couple of female smiths to show that not just men are capable of our craft. Yeah, it does make a huge difference to see female blacksmiths and female fencers. I used to do a lot of demonstrations for schools and different groups for the SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronism. And all of the young girls loved it when I was demonstrating, because all the guys are there and you know, it's manly and stuff, and all the boys are. But then you get this girl, and you know, sometimes I win, right? Alrighty, let's do our next heat. Oh, come on. All right, I'm going to grab some more heat. We're going to shape it up a little bit more, and then we are going to flip it around and start working on the other side again. I'm a Rennie as well, currently working on my first chainmail shirt. Ooh, I respect you. I would not even try. I hate chainmail. I'm sorry. Ugh. Goddess Eris 23, thank you so much for that follow over on Twitch. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Hopefully you're having fun, as much fun as I am, at very least, right? You know, maybe not, but you know, because I am having quite a bit of fun. But you know, welcome to the stream. So the reason that I do not like chainmail is because I worked at Signet, which is the conglomerate jewelry store that owns Zales, Kay's, and Jared Jewelers. And I worked in their repair department. And I was in charge of creating all of the bracelet and necklace extensions. And so in order to match the bracelets and necklaces that we would get, I would have to take wire and create my own links. And then I'd have to create however long the extension that they needed, and then silver solder each and every link together. And since then, I cannot deal with links. I'm cheating a bit, just butted ends instead of riveting. I'm not crazy stupid. Thanks, happy to be here. I'm happy that you're here. Welcome, welcome. See, we weren't able to wear butted rings in fencing and combat in my chapter of the SCA because they would constantly come undone, and they'd fly across the area, and nobody wanted to get hurt. So if you were going to wear chainmail, you had to have riveted links. And I just, no. So Bounty is coconut stuff. Milky Way is white fluffy stuff. Mars caramel and darker chocolate. Goo all covered with chocolate. Yeah. Is the stream stuttering? Yes, the stream is stuttering. I've had some issue earlier today with the stream stuttering a bit. I'm not entirely sure why. We went for like a really long time with smooth sailing. I don't know why. Apologies. Zero kilobytes per second. Goodness gracious. Speed test. Let me see. I'm hoping that it's not too bad for long. Because we're bouncing up and down. That's annoying. Looking like I'm going to have to call my ISP again. We've had a couple of storms recently, so hopefully it's just a little bit of a stutter. If we completely drop, I apologize. I will try and get back up as soon as I possibly can. But yeah, we are having some really poor upload speeds, it looks like. Right now we're getting about, it's like 17 megabits. Upload. Ooh, 15. Icky. Stream is still here at least. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. The only other thing that I can do... See, it keeps bouncing up and down. I could reset my router and start up again, but I really hate doing that. Let's see. Are we coming back up again? No, we're bouncing. We're bouncing. All right, well, I don't really know what to do except for restart my router. Goodness gracious. But that'll make me drop everything. Hopefully your ISP won't blame it on you having things set up in your house. Again, I know. To be fair, if you run the test in parallel with Twitch, the Twitch bandwidth needs to be added. Yeah. I have a latency error going on. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do... by the way, my name is Randy. You can also call me Newt, or it's good for... Okay. Yes, there's a ridiculous amount of viewers. I don't want to reset the stream. You know, you guys are all here, and however, if I'm going to drop out, okay, it looks like maybe we're stabilizing. I hope. Fingers crossed. It looks like... Ugh. Can you guys over on YouTube see me? Are you getting the stuttering too? It looks like OBS is getting the stuttering. Clear on YouTube. Okay. I'm a little bit disappointed. Ugh. All right. Well, it looks like we're stabilizing a little bit, so I'm going to do my next heat. If it's still too stuttery, there's a link to my YouTube in the channel page. You might be able to hang out on YouTube. If we drop out fully, I apologize. I'll try to be up as much as I possibly can. Once I had continuous problems, they sent texts out to my house 4 times, and they all whined about how things were wired. Turned out it was a problem up to the line, and everybody in the area was having the same problem. That's what happened the last time I called the ISP. But I have to call them about every 6 months, and it's about time. So I will call them up and see what I can see. All right. So I'm pretty happy with this side. And, oh, darn it. I've been disconnected. Goodness gracious. Are we back up? I think we're back up. Okay, it looks like we are back. Alrighty. Yeah, we look like we're back up and doing really nice. A few questions for you, Ray. What forge and anvil are you running, and are you looking for better? Right now, I am running The mailbox currently, this is the little one. That one is one that I was gifted to me by one of the members of Oomba about 10 years ago. Corwin just got one. I think it's I think the guy's name is John, if I remember correctly. And the Whisper Baby, yes, that one. That's what I'm currently running. This guy right here is the big one. I built this one myself out of fire bricks. It's a hexagonal design. It deserves 2 burners, but I only put 1 in it. This Gene, yes, it was Gene's forge. And then I have a hay button anvil, and the plate is broken off the top. It still has a lot of life in it. So, you know, I don't really have the funding to put in the anvil because I've been spending my money, my budget on trips, getting out and talking to people in person. So, yes. But I mean, if somebody's going to give me equipment, I won't say no. Not that I'm asking or anything. All right. I'm going to grab some more water. I will be right back. Apologies for the troubles we've been having. Hopefully everything is smooths out and it'll be smooth sailing for the rest of the stream. I will be right back. Alrighty. We back. YouTube has the same stutter. I figured it would. It looks like we're starting to stabilize again, though. Sorta, kinda. Okay, we're back. I think we are. I think we're back. It looks like it. All right. So now that everything is a little bit more stable, I'm going to kind of pull the steel out of the forge, kind of show you what I did, and I'm going to kind of work a little bit on the opposite side. Oh, I didn't. Wow. Okay. Goodness gracious. I've been talking to you guys at the anvil cam. That's a smart thing to do. All right, we got a nice isolation there. What we're going to do next is try and build out some wings. I might pull out the blacksmith's friend again. I think that might actually be the right thing to do for this. Okay. So we're trying to put wings on this guy. Splay it all out. That way we can bend it into knuckles for our hinge. On this side, I don't know that you guys saw that last heat. We kind of spent a little bit of time shaping this section. What we're trying to do is make a place that we can rivet this onto the strike plate. This is going to be the handle for our door latch. So for our next heat, I think I'm going to pull out the guillotine tool again, and we're going to isolate this a little bit more. And maybe I'll remember this time to change camera angles. All right. It would be nice. Okay. Make sure everything is nice and in focus so you guys can see what we're doing. Did I hit record? Did it actually do it? It did. Alrighty. Okay, I work for Atlas Knife and Tool. We make forges and anvils as well as anvil stands. We're working on a press and a 2x72. We are one of the only companies that will send you a forge ready to go right out of the box. Ooh. That would be nice. And I mean, eventually, when I replace this forge, I will totally go for something that's store-bought. I am tired of making my own forges. So I will definitely look into buying a forge next time. I just don't want to build another one. It takes forever. It's a pain in the butt. And I always feel like I need to do some experiment, hence the hexagonal design for it. I do like it. It actually increases the amount of vortexing that happens in the fire. And why that's important for those of you who are who might be wondering is as the flame vortexes around, it actually starts getting a little bit hotter, and it expands the amount of heat that's in the forge itself, that it reduces the amount of cold spots in the forge. Unfortunately, I needed to put 2 burners in it. 1 burner just doesn't cover the entire area. So if I were to bite the bullet and put a 2nd burner in there, it'd be a lot more efficient, a lot better. For you, I recommend the double burner Firestorm. Oh, okay. The reason I have such a large forge, and I do have the bottom half of it bricked up to reduce the area, is because I do pull those bricks out and I put sheet steel, and I will do armor and pans and vessels and things like that in this forge. It actually fits. I do have a coal forge over there that I use for that as well, but I don't have a good flume for it. So I kind of compromised a little bit. My new water. So I got these little packets. They're like little Gatorade packets. And so we do about a half a Gatorade packet to 28 ounces of water. And it's orange. The orange is the only one I don't like the flavor of. You would love my friend Adam Bordermark. He is also an armorer. I've seen a few armorers out there, but I love talking to them. Like I said earlier in this stream, I started out as a silversmith. Before I was a fabricator, before I was a jeweler, before I was a blacksmith. I started out as a silversmith, making vessels out of sheet, like copper, brass, and silver. And so I really love applying those techniques to blacksmithing and using steel. Okay, let's do another heat. All right, that's about where I want it right there. All right, that's good. All right, so I've kind of pinched in those corners, the edges, so that way it's going to start moving outward into little wings a little bit easier. I want it to be as thin as possible, but as wide as possible. That's going to help us get there and get it more smooth, or like a better transition is what I'm trying to say. A better transition. I can speak. Alrighty. So I'm starting to think that the handle itself is going to take us a pretty good chunk of this stream. So like I said, this is a 6-piece door latch. And so this is really the first piece. It's probably the most difficult piece that we're going to be doing. So I imagine we'll be able to move through a few more of the pieces quicker on Wednesday and maybe Friday. I'm really hoping that this is a 1-week project. It could take a couple of weeks, though. Oh, what a cute guillotine. I don't know how about cute. That guillotine caused me no amount of problems. It's awful. I made it out of 1/2-inch plates. Not a good idea. I'm impressed with your skill. Please go get my contact info from Corwin. Well, thank you for the compliments. Alrighty. Let's do another heat real fast. Oh, you know what? I should change the angle of the camera. See, that's where I'm struggling, right? The blacksmithing thing, it's just practice makes perfect, right? But the camera angles and stuff, that's where my problems lie, you know? At least I have an idea of what I'm trying to do with the forge and the anvils. All right. Let's do this. That's better. All right, we've got a lot of material that we can thin out and widen out as we go. We are starting to splay towards that end, so what we're going to be doing, you're going to see me change from using the cross peen in the center of this side, trying to splay it out, and also flipping the steel so I can kind of get parallel sides. Like I said, we're splaying out. I want to make sure that everything is nice and parallel. I'll put a video up of some of my tools for you. I really would like to discuss your attendance in our booth next year. Cool. Don't touch the metal when it's that red color, just FYI. Thank you for the warning. Actually, the steel isn't quite, I mean, it's hot. Yes, it will definitely burn you, especially if you get, touch it. You'll get like a 3rd-degree burn. But it actually does not, it dissipates very quickly, right? So you know how when you have food in your oven, right? And you got like a roast and it's covered in aluminum foil, right? So when you take the roast out, the aluminum foil is nice and hot to begin with. But when you remove it, it's not really, really hot anymore. You can kind of peel it up a little bit with your fingers. Well, it's almost like that. Almost. Still don't recommend touching it, but, you know, if it was too hot, I would not be that close. So we got an ad starting on Twitch in about 2 minutes. I think I can get another heat in before that ad starts, so let me try that. I wouldn't taste it either. Yeah, definitely don't taste it. I don't recommend eating in the shop. Some people do, I don't, but you know. All right. Stop to make these a little bit more parallel, and then we're going to come back over here. All right, so I'm starting to lose that shoulder that we created with the guillotine shear on that side. So I will probably pull that out for our next heat. We're going to redo a little bit of that, just to kind of, a couple taps, just to kind of regain that shoulder, and then we're going to keep on keeping on. Impressive hammer collection. I honestly don't feel like I have that many. I mean, I don't know. So many other blacksmiths have like racks upon racks, and you know, but thank you. I love them. A lot of them are really cool. This one I inherited from my grandfather. He used it for farrier work. And this one I won from the Christ-Centered Ironworks Christmas, I guess it was a drawing. And so, pretty good. A lot of other ones I've purchased from estate sales and yard sales and antique stores. I was forge welding some cable. It popped out of my tongs and did some flips before landing on my arm at the wrist. I just picked it up and went right back to work. Yeah, I got, yeah, as far as like flipping or steel jumping, that's kind of why I wear the big old apron. A lot of times I do have burns like all up and down my arms from scale, as well as like pieces of steel, but you know, I try very hard to be very mindful of safety. That's awesome that you won. Yeah, there was probably about 30 to, or I think there was probably more like 50 items that you could win in the drawing, and I somehow won that hammer. It was pretty awesome. Heck, you can ask Roy about me. He knows me very well. I'm sure he does. Thank you so much for following GTDubs3. I will also repeat that after the ad break is over on Twitch, because I don't know if you're seeing this or not. I was in the live. Yes, I was too. I may have been a bit jealous. Well, you won a thing too, Corwin. Once again, thank you so much for following GTDubs3. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having fun. I sent him an apron for his first giveaway in his current shop, and also made his file roll. Okay. Awesome. That's so cool. Let's do another heat. Like I said, we're going to use the guillotine tool. I'm not going to put the guillotine tool in focus because we're only going to do a couple like tiny taps, and then I'll be back to the center of the face. But I do want to kind of redo that shoulder a bit real fast. We're going to do that so you guys can kind of see the guillotine tool, or the blacksmith's helper. Okay. In there just a hair. Now let's take a look at it, make sure that we're not doing something crazy. We'll go like this a little bit. All right. That's what I want to see. Let's go back over here. And we'll flip it over. And let's grab some more heat. We've got a little bit more to go. We're going to splay it out because, like I said, we want to kind of create a U shape where we're folding up these sides so that we can put a rivet through it. True, I'm making my own similar hammer now, though. Ooh. I tried making a hammer once. It is not easy. I'm going to do it again. I also promised the Indiana Blacksmith Association that when I go to Quad State this year, I will make a hammer at their campsite. So we will be making a hammer at Quad State this year. I think it'll be like a night shoot, though, so I probably won't be able to do that live. Wound up making 3 at the state fair. That was awesome. That would be awesome. I saw the one that Corwin made at the state fair, and it was really cool. It's really pretty. It needs a little bit of cleanup, but you know, every single hammer does. But yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there. All right. I think we're doing pretty good on this. A couple more heats, and we should be we should have drawn it out enough to get the knuckles for our hinge. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it around to the other side again. We're going to do a little bit of tapering. I definitely want to round out the handle so that when you kind of grab a hold of it, you don't have the corners kind of sticking you in the hands. So yeah, that'll be our next step after we finish these knuckles. He's a very capable and knowledgeable smith. Happy to have him. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. All right, let's true up these edges again. It's looking like it's splayed out a little bit further that side than this side, so we're gonna work on this side a little bit for our next heat. We've got plenty of thickness on both sides. Yeah. We all have our areas of expertise. I hope he learned as much from me as I learned from him. True, I'm making my own similar. Oh, I already read that one. I'm starting to get warm. Stand over here for just a second. I've got an industrial fan. It's pointed directly at here. That way I have a way to like stay cool, but it's also not blowing directly on my steel. All right. Let's do another heat. we're going a little bit perpendicular, so I'm straightening out those edges. We've also lost that shoulder once again, so I'll have to fix that. I think we are actually done using the cross peen, so we're going to start using the rounding hammer to go all to thin that out just a little bit further, but I think we're doing pretty darn good. Couple more heats. If you do come up, we're going to talk about making you some much better straps for the hobo freight art apron, right? I'm so small, it's very hard to find safety equipment in my size. So I make do with what I've got. I learned I could swing an 8-pound hammer without injuring myself. Not for long periods, though. I can understand that. I think right now 3 pounds is my maximum single hand hammer. I haven't done any striking since I got back from being ill. I don't know that I would make an effective striker these days. Same here on the safety. I'm teeny. So yeah, I had to special order a welding jacket, and you know, my safety glasses are a little bit big for my face and stuff. I try though. We'll also talk about making you a double diagonal hammer. Ooh, I've always wanted one of those. All right, so we're going to go back to the rounding hammer. We're going to thin out this section, and then we're not going to fold the knuckles just yet. We are going to be doing the tapering to draw out the rest of this handle, make that nice ergonomic shape that we're looking for. I'm 5'5" and 130, I understand. See, that's me. That's just about me these days. When I was in college, I was 115. I haven't gotten much bigger. But yeah, so kind of difficult. Alrighty. One more heat and we're going to move the camera so we can get a different angle, a different look. All right, that's what I want to see. Okay, we're a little on the thin side, so we're going to upset this down a tiny, tiny bit. Flatten that back out. All right. One more heat because I want to redo that knuckle just a hair because we've got a little bit of a rounded area there. That'll be our last heat on that section. I'm really happy with that. So I'm working a little bit slower than I'd like to. And that's really because I want this to look really nice. I've really been trying to do a lot of speed projects lately, and I really want to try and make something that's like pretty, right? I was really happy with the dagger that we made. So I want to make something that's equally pretty and a little bit more complicated, challenge my skill level a bit. All right, I'm going to change the angle on the camera again because I'm going to be doing a little bit of upsetting on the corner of the anvil. Ouch. And I find that a really great angle for that is actually really low. We're going to come over here so I'm not accidentally, my hand isn't in front of it when you look at it. So we're going to do that right there. There we go. Alrighty. Let's do our next heat. Okay. So what I'm trying to do right now is kind of clean up those edges. I think it's a little bit easier over here. I do have a little bit of a lip that's kind of curving down a bit towards that edge there. All right, so I think I'm pretty good with this for the moment. So what we're going to do is we are going to flip this over, and we're going to start drawing down this section right here. And that's called tapering. So basically, we're just going to thin and lengthen this section, kind of turn this into more like a carrot look. All right. Looks like we are almost at the 2-hour mark. I normally only stream for about 2.5 hours in a session, but I will be continuing to work on this project for my next few streams. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2:30 Eastern time, 1:30 Central. And yeah, so I will be continuing to work on this piece. We've got 6 pieces to go, or this is our first out of 6. So yeah, it should go a lot quicker than the next few streams, because we're doing a few more simplistic pieces. So we're just going to be doing a lot of flattening, drawing out. You're going to see a lot of progress in a little bit of time. Let's see if I can finish this door handle though. Now, the one thing I will say is that we're not going to have the ability to curve this door handle yet. We're going to have to start up the big forge for that. And the big forge takes about a half an hour to heat up. So we're not going to have time for that today. So we're just going to create the sections of steel. And we're going to make sure that it is ready to go into the big forge when we're ready to curve it. So unfortunately, about 3 hours is my current max out for the duration of time that I can forge in a single day. And the reason for that is I am a little bit disabled. I have long hauler COVID, and so I have a lot of breathing issues. And I don't have a lot of stamina. I'm still working on it. I'm still growing, and my duration is getting longer over time. But I hit these plateaus, and I got to reach the next level. So I'm still working on that. All right, how we doing on heat? I think we're starting to get there. All right. So I think I'm going to raise the camera. Okay, let's do our next heat. Gonna have to be a little bit careful. Around the end there. So the first couple of heats are going to be a little bit on the slow side. Because I'm trying to miss this section here. You can kind of see I've hit it a couple of times and moved it around a little. I want to make sure that that doesn't happen too much. Right. A few more heats. A few more heats. So on Friday, I kind of didn't really have much of an idea of what I wanted to forge today. And I wasn't really sold on making this door latch because I thought it would be a little bit too complex for me to get done in time because I have a few other projects I'm working on. And so I went to Google and I was just searching for basic blacksmithing projects. I didn't really care if it was like AI pictures or what it was. It was just, is there something that I can kind of like put my own spin on or see something that gives me an idea, some sort of inspiration. And I saw that picture that I've posted over on the Discord on Pinterest. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of pretty. Kind of interesting. And it's a mechanism that I understand. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet. We're going to do the difficult project and we're going to try this. It was that or a pair of pliers. So I decided on this project first, and then maybe we'll do a set of pliers as our next project. And not just a normal set of pliers. I mean, I make a lot of tongs, and pliers is very similar in structure to tongs. But what I want to do is I want to take a slot punch and I want to do pass-through box jaw pliers, right? So I want to take the slot punch and create the little hole and then bring the little both sides, or the one side through the other side. And I think that's going to be a really fun project. So that might actually be our next attempt. It's going to be a lot of work, a lot of skill stretching, and we might screw it up completely. But it'll be fun. It's going to be one of those projects like the scissors where it's just like way too, or it's like in my head, I perceive it as way too hard. But when I actually get in there, it's a little bit, it can be a little less challenging than I think. Ever do Viking scissors? I have done a pair of scissors, like little shears. I don't have them in the shop with me anymore. I brought them in the house. We use them. But yeah, there is a video over on my YouTube of me making the scissors. So they were pretty fun. They were quite the challenge. I didn't think that I was going to be able to make them function, but in the end, they did. I was super excited. And that's kind of my attitude toward these pass-through box joint pliers that we're going to make. Let's do another heat. There's another project idea for me. A top tool. I was just thinking it would be a lot easier to get these shoulders and not hit my leaf shape if I had a top tool. All right, so we're going to continue drawing that further back up. I sent it as you were talking about them. Yeah. All right, I think we're okay on the angle for the moment. So yeah, a top tool would be great. A top tool is something like, it's on a handle, kind of like, this is a punch. But a top tool would be like a square of steel on a handle like that. It makes it a lot easier to kind of place the blows exactly where you want them. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. I think we're making some pretty good progress. Like I said, this is probably one of the most difficult pieces of this door latch. I think from here, the other really difficult piece is going to be the thumb depressing thingy. I don't know what it's called. It's like, you know, you got, when you look at a door handle and you got the like the little loop-de-doo, and then there's the little like thumb depressing thing that like raises the latch itself. So that is going to be the next most difficult thing, is the little thumb depressor thingy, because we have to have a nice leaf shape that's rounded at the end so that we can put our thumb on it. But then we also have to create a section that's going to fit inside of the knuckles so that it will hinge for us. And then from there, what we've got to do is we have to create a long like lever that we can that can tip up the latch. So it's going to be challenging. It's going to be a learning experience. But I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be real fun. Thumb depressor thingy. It's a good description. I don't know what it's called. I know that there's some kind of weird technical term for it. You know, you got like the door handles, you got the knobs, right? And so we've got an ad starting in about 1.5 minutes over on Twitch. I think I can do my next heat before that ends, or I mean starts. So I'm going to try that right now. Let's see. Speedy Gonzalez. All right. All right, so I think it's about time to move the camera. We're going to bring it over to the horn of the anvil. And I'll kind of explain why I'm going to do that after the ad happens. All right, let's move our camera and focus in on the horn. There we go. That'll work. All right, so we are currently in the middle of the ad break over on Twitch. I'm super, honestly, just, I need a little bit of a breather, so it's a good timing for that. All right. Whew. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, so what do we got? About 30 seconds left, and I think we've got the heat that we're looking for. So we should be good to go. So on Saturday, when my mom came, she cut my hair for me. I'm so excited. It's not going to get in the way. It's not going to burn off anymore. I'm super excited. It's like all short and stuff. Yes. That makes me very happy. Very happy. It's also not going to be long and in the way and like hot either. All right, let's do our next heat. All right, we're going to grab some more heat. We want to keep this nice and hot, so it's going to move really quickly and easily as we go. And then I'm also going to explain now why I moved over to the horn of the anvil. So, the amount of pressure that you get from a hammer blow is dependent on the amount of surface area that is contacting on either side of your steel, right? So the flat of the anvil, that's a lot of contact. And, you know, the face of the hammer, it's a decent amount of contact, right? So you're going to get a relatively even amount of pressure. But it's gonna be good, but it's not gonna be quite as good as if you reduce the amount of surface area, right? It's like when you are in mud, right? If you're walking in mud in boots, you got a wide amount of pressure or surface area to you have a wide amount of surface area to, you know, spread out your weight, right? Well, if that same mud and you're wearing 6-inch heels, you got these teeny little points at the ends of your heels. And if you step foot in that mud, you're going to instantaneously sink because you don't have the giant footprint to distribute your weight anymore. You've got this teeny little nail, and so you just sink right in there. It's a lot more surface pressure. So it's the same with the anvil, right? The face of the anvil, it's like your sneaker when you go in the mud. Yeah, it's gonna move, but it's not gonna move much. But if you're on the horn of the anvil, that round section, it's reducing the surface area in contact with your steel. It's going to move a lot faster. High heels in mud does not sound like fun to me. But I have done it occasionally. I don't wear heels often, but when I do, it never fails. It's all rainy and muddy. All right, let's do another heat. Yep, we're going to put that over there. All right, now we're going to straighten this out a little bit. We're getting a lot of movement. I'm pretty happy with that. So now I want to smooth that whole over, or that whole section over. We've got a nice big fat section here, and it's starting to taper down. So yeah, it's pretty nice. It's also pretty long, so if you got big hands. According to the AI that seems to have taken over web search results, it's called the thumb press or the thumb piece. Okay. Like I said, I had no idea what it was called, but I sat and searched the inner workings of a handle, like a door handle, for forever this morning, like an hour or so. I was just trying to figure out like what that little piece, because okay, so door handles come in 3 pieces, right? You got one handle for the front side of the door, the handle for the back side of the door, and then there's the little thing that goes inside of the hole that kind of fits in between. And I was trying to figure out what was in that. Like if you were to peel away the casing, what does that look like inside? And I could not find it anywhere. I'm sticking with calling it thingy. See, that's my word. That's the word I always use for things that I do not know the name of. It's a thingy. But yeah, I was about to give up on doing like a door handle or a door latch when I came across that picture. So, I'm glad I found it, I think it's going to be pretty. But it also makes me a little bit happy that I feel like I have a chance to finish this before the end of September, because this is Lexi's monthly challenge. Lexi won the challenge last month for the axe heads. And so she picked this project, and I wanted to make sure that I at least tried to make one, right? To complete the challenge. All right. Okay, so I think My next heat is going to be in the center of the anvil, so I'm going to change the angle again so that you guys can see that a little bit easier and in focus as opposed to blurry and in the back of the frame. And that'll probably be our last camera angle change for the day. Not to be confused with widgets. Exactly. Widgets is different. Widgets are those things that you used to put on your screen during, like, what was it? Windows 8? 7? Oh, and here I was not going to use the horn. It's okay. I can do this. All right. Straighten that out just a hair. I'm not entirely sure what direction I want that to go yet. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that bottom end. What I want to do is flip this over, taper a tiny bit up here, just a teeny little bit. We might even use the blacksmith's helper for that one. And then we should be done and ready to get rid of all these corners. Corners. Let's change tongs. These ones are specifically sized to 5/8, and we've reduced the size of our handle at the end that we're trying to hold on to. So let's get some smaller tongs. Those should work. A nice set of universals. Or I guess universal square, right? They have a V groove inside them, so they don't work as well on round stock, but they work beautifully on square. Of all sizes. It's going to take a little bit of extra time to make sure that everything is nice and hot and it's ready to go. But yeah, just a couple more heats to go, and then we'll probably grade off for the day on Twitch and the stream over on YouTube. But yeah, I will be back on Wednesday. Couple more heats left, though. Just a couple. And by a couple, it's probably going to be 2. All right. Let's do that first. See if I can't get this out of here. Nice. Once again, this would be much easier if I had a top tool. I haven't made much progress, it looks like. At least not this direction. This direction I've made some progress. But that's not bad. I think we're pretty much where I want to be, except for a little bit more on this. a nice handle. Yes, Mahalo, we have one more heat to go. One more heat. I need to I need to get my rear in gear so that try to find a on-demand print website for shirts. A couple of people have asked me for shirts like yours, Mahalo. So I need to get my rear in gear and do that so I can put those up for you guys to get a hold of. I want to do a couple more designs too. You know, we got the one more heat design and then a couple more, like maybe the clanging design. I like the clanging one, like the emote. Yeah, get the merch. Merch lines. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be too money hungry grabby, but it would be nice to have, you know, some shirts available if people want to have them. All right, we have enough heat. I want to wait just a hair longer. A little bit longer. Not too much longer, but I want to soak that steel a little bit. Alrighty. Let's do this. Hairs are thin, right? On that corner there was a little bit where I misstruck. So we're doing all right. We're fixing that up. So I think that's all she wrote for today. We'll take a little bit of a look at that. You can kind of see. It's going to be a pretty big handle. I know I have a really small hand. I am going to test it, have the butler pick it up after it's cold, like dead cold, because, you know, I don't care to burn them, but just to see if it's big enough for a larger hand than mine. I want to make sure that anybody can grab this thing. And then we will take the corners off after we're satisfied with the length of this. And then we'll move on to our next piece. All on Monday. Or I mean Wednesday. Goodness gracious. Yes, I also need a maker's mark. You're right. I definitely need one of those. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I have had so much fun. I hope you guys have as well. Welcome all of those who have joined us for the first time or for, you know, the first few times. And all our, you know, our older community members, you know, the people who have been around since the beginning. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have had a wonderful day, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of yours. So, thank you guys. All right, let's raid off. I'm going to start up my outro screen. If I can figure out where I left my key or my cursor. Alrighty. Transition. Thanks for sharing the adventure. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for the time and process. It was fun watching. Good. I'm glad you guys had fun. All right. Who do we have around to rate off to today? Let's see. Are any of our friends on? Ooh. J.K. Knudsen is doing some wood carving. Let's rate him. All right, guys, once again, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day. Bye.